How's everybody doing today? For today's discussion, I want to get into setting up an online company. First, I want to congratulate you on your decision to start your own business. I want to let you know there's a series of steps you're going to need to take to do this right. I've divided this discussion into two parts. The first is more of a checklist of things you need to do to get your business off the ground. It'll be more about general logistics and exactly what you need to do. In the second part, I want to address specifics about how to make your company successful, especially in today's environment. We'll get further into the detail and then about some of the steps that I talk about in the first part. So part one, just simple steps to starting any business. First thing you need to do is get into the business mindset. Do whatever it takes to convince yourself that this is not a random thought, a little side gig, or just a hobby. If you're going to run a successful business, you need to start thinking like a business owner. That means getting serious about marketing, cash flow, and planning. You may also want to look inward and address any fears or learning needs you may have that are specific to starting the business. A while back we discussed finding your passion. If you didn't, maybe you need to go back and look at that again, or I'd be happy to go over it with you. Okay, next we want to research the market. Take a step back and look at the business you want to start. Is there currently a market for that product or service? Who are your potential customers or clients? And how are they going to find you? Who's your competition? What can you do differently or better? It's always good to bounce ideas off some other business owners and see what they say. Listen to their feedback and fine-tune your concept, but give yourself a deadline so you don't get stuck in this step. Next, think about, we want to run the numbers. Figure out how much money is it going to take to get this business up and running, and how much you're going to need to stay in operation and make a profit. If you don't have enough cash, you're going to have to explore ways to finance your business, which may include securing a bank loan or an SBA, which is a Small Business Administration loan, attracting one or more investors, or soliciting family, friends, either individually or via crowdfunding. Next, you need to write a business plan. Now, there are plenty of templates available online or at the library. The folks at your local SCORE center can help. SCORE is a nonprofit whose volunteers mentor. They help people who are committed to starting small businesses. Now, it's tempting to skip this step because it's not always that much fun writing a business plan, but it really can be the difference between the business making and not making it. It's going to help you identify any weaknesses that you have in your business idea. And it's an essential document if you're looking for a bank loan or grant, or even a contribution from a family or friend. And we'll talk more about writing a business plan in another section, because that's a whole different ball of wax. Anyway, you also want to get some legal advice. Attorneys can help manage the risk of being a business owner. An attorney can advise you on whether your business should be a corporation, an LLC, or something else. An attorney can define your relationship with your co-owners, review leases, set you up with the right kind of contracts and forms. Your attorney is someone you can call with any additional questions in the business once it's up and running. Next, the fun part. You want to choose a great name. This is one of the more creative steps. Your business needs the right name. A good business name is unique. It's memorable, easy to pronounce, and it complies with your state's rules on business names. For example, most states won't let you choose a name that's already being used, or a name that's misleading or deceptive in some way. And also consider how the name will transfer to online uses, especially social media. Next, you want to form your business. Now, forming a business means filling out paperwork with the state and paying a fee. In a few days to a few weeks, you'll receive a confirmation that your business is official. What's required for doing business in the state will vary state by state. Then you need to get a tax ID number. Most businesses are required to have a federal tax ID number, also known as an employer identification number, or EIN. Now, you can apply for one of these on the Internal Revenue Service website, or you can get your tax ID as part of a business formation package. Next, you want to open a business bank account. Look for banks in your area that have accounts with low fees or maybe even bonuses for signing up. And while you're at it, get a business credit card, and hopefully one that has reward points. Whatever you do, don't use your personal bank account for business banking. You'll have a mess at tax time, And you could also invalidate the liability protection you get from having a corporation or LLC. Next, you want to talk to an accountant. Don't wait until your first tax return is due to talk to an accountant. A good accountant can advise you on the best tax filing status for your business, help you stay on top of deadlines, and answer any questions you may have about business deductions, payroll, and local taxes. Next, you want to check with your state's taxation department. You may need to open an account for sales tax, payroll tax, and any other taxes that your state collects. Also want to make sure you get the necessary business licenses and permits. There may be local business license, permits, or tax accounts that are required for your business. You can contact your city or county directly to find out what's required for your industry, or use an online resource and they can do the legwork for you. Finally, if you have employees, you want to set up payroll. Many small businesses use payroll services to simplify the process and just to make sure that everything's done right. They give you a peace of mind and you don't have to get lost in those details. Owning a small business is an exciting journey, and when you start with a good plan, a solid legal foundation, you're going to be setting yourself up for success. But of course, when starting a business, it's always a good idea to talk to an attorney first, just to make sure you're not making any costly mistakes that you're going to have to retrace or go back and undo. Okay, so those are the basic logistics. Now let's get to more specifics on how to start a small online business, and preferably a successful one. There's a proven sequence of steps you can follow to guarantee success when you're starting out a small online business. So the following is 12 steps I put together for starting an online business. I mean, there are no limits on who can become a great entrepreneur. You don't necessarily need a college degree, a bunch of money from the bank, or even experience to start something that could be the next major success. Who knows, you could be the next Bill Gates. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, odds are you already have the drive, but you might not have all the experience to start building your empire. So here's some things to think about. Number one is evaluate yourself. Start with the most basic question. Why do you want to start a business? Use this question to guide what kind of business you want to start. If you want extra money, maybe you should start a side hustle. If you want more freedom, maybe it's time you leave your 9-to-5 gig and start something new. If necessary, you can go back to the section on goal setting, because we need to review why we're doing this. This is very important. Now, once you have the reason, start asking yourself more questions about how to figure out what type of business you should start, and to figure out if you have what it takes. You can ask yourself questions like, what skills do you have? Where does your passion lie? Where's your area of expertise? How much can you afford to spend knowing that most businesses fail? How much capital do you need to get up and running? What sort of lifestyle do you want to live? And the last question, are you ready to be an entrepreneur? Be brutally honest with your answers, as this is going to create a foundation for everything else you do to move forward. So it's better to know the truth now than later. Next, think of a business idea, and it's best to find a need and fill it. Do you already have a killer business idea? If so, congratulations. Go right to the next section. If not, there are tons of ways to start brainstorming for a good idea. You can ask yourself, what's next? What technology or advancement is coming soon, and how is it going to change the business landscape as we know it? Can you get ahead of the curve? Another way to do it is fix something that bugs you. People would rather have less of a bad thing than more of a good thing. If you can fix a problem of your customers, they'll thank you for it. You can also apply your skills to an entirely new field. Many businesses and industries do things that way because they've always done them that way. In some cases, a fresh set of eyes from a new perspective can make all the difference. Use the better, cheaper, faster approach. Do you have a business idea that isn't completely new? If so, think about the current offerings and focus on how you can create something better, faster, or cheaper. Then go out, meet some people, ask them questions, seek advice from other entrepreneurs, research ideas online, or use whatever method makes the most sense to you. Most people who are just starting out make the mistake of looking for a product first and then a market second. And to boost your chances of success, start with the market. The trick is to find a group of people who are searching for a solution to a problem, but not finding many results. The internet makes this kind of market research easy. You can always visit online forums to see what questions people are asking and what problems they're trying to solve. You can do keyword searches and find keywords that a lot of people are searching for, but what not many sites are competing. You can also check out potential competitors by visiting their websites and taking notes on what they're doing to fill the demand. Then you can use what you've learned to create a product that for the market that already exists. Just do it better than the competition. Next, do your market research. Is anyone else doing what you want to be doing? And if not, is there a good reason why? Start researching your potential rivals or patterns within the market. It breaks down the objectives you'll need to compete with your research and the methods, and you can use it for just that. For example, you can conduct interviews by telephone or face-to-face. You can also do surveys or questionnaires and ask questions like, what factors do you consider when purchasing this product or service? And what areas would you suggest for improvement? Now, just as important, it explains 3 of the most common mistakes people make just when they're doing their market research, which are using only secondary research, using only online resources, and 3 is surveying only people that you know. Okay, next, you want to get feedback. Let people interact with your product or service and see what their take is on it. A fresh set of eyes can help point out a problem you may have missed. Plus, these people will become your first brand advocates, especially if you listen to their input and why they like your product. One of the easiest ways to utilize feedback is to focus on the lean startup, which means there are 3 basic pillars: prototyping, experimenting, and pivoting. By pushing out a product, getting feedback, and then adapting it before you push out the next product, you can constantly improve and make sure you stay relevant. Just realize that some of the advice, solicited or not, won't be so good. Some of it will be pretty horrible. But that's why you should have a plan on how to receive feedback. So how do you do this? Here you go. Glad you asked. First, stop. Your brain's probably going to be in an excited state when you're receiving feedback, and it might start racing to bad conclusions. Slow down and take the time to consider carefully what you've heard. 2, start by saying thank you. People who will give you negative feedback won't expect you to thank them for it, but doing so will probably make them respect you and encourage them to continue to be honest in the future. 3, look for the grain of truth. If someone doesn't like one idea, it doesn't mean they hate everything you've done. Remember that people are trying to help, and they might just be pointing out a smaller problem or solution that maybe needs to be looked into, but it's not a deal breaker. Next, seek out patterns. If you keep hearing the same comments, then maybe it's time to sit up and start taking notice. Listen with curiosity. Be willing to enter a conversation where the customer's in control. And finally, ask questions. Figure out why someone liked or didn't like something. How could you make it better? What would be a better solution? Another way you can get through negative feedback is to create a wall of love. Here's where you post all the positive messages you've received. Not only will this wall of love inspire you, but you can use these messages later when you begin selling your product or service. And positive reviews online or word-of-mouth testimonials can make a huge difference. Okay, once we're ready, make it official. Get all the legal aspects out of the way early. That way you don't have to worry about someone taking your big idea, screwing you over in a partnership, or suing you for something you never saw coming. A quick checklist of things to shore up on might include having the right business structure, LLC, corporation, partnership, your business name, you've registered your business, you got your federal tax ID, your state tax ID, your permits, your licenses, your necessary bank accounts, your trademarks, copyrights, patents, and anything else. Once you get all these logistical things out of the way, it's best to consult with a lawyer. So this way you make sure that you've covered everything you need and there's nothing left to worry about in that area. Next, as I mentioned earlier, and we'll mention again later, write a business plan. There's a reason these have been around for hundreds of years. A business plan is a written description of how your business will evolve, from when it starts to product finish. You can probably cover everything you need to convey in 20 to 30 pages of text, plus another 10 pages of appendices and projections, management resumes, and other detail. If you've got a plan that's more than 40 pages long, chances are you're not summarizing it very well. Now, here's just, once again, we'll get into the detail later, but here's what you should include in your business plan. A title page, start with the name of your business, which sometimes is harder than it sounds. Executive summary. This is a high-level summary of what the plan includes, often touching on the company description, the problem the business is solving, solutions, and why now. Next, include a business description. What kind of business do you want to start? What does your industry look like? What will it look like in the future? Market strategies. What's your target market, and how can you best sell to that market? Competitive analysis. What are the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors? How are you going to beat them? Then you want to design a development plan. What is your product and service, and how is it going to develop? Create a budget for that product or service. Have an operations and management plan. How does the business function on a daily basis? And finally, financing. Where's the money coming from? When? How much? What sort of projections should you create? And what should you take into consideration? Now, for each of these 8 factors, you should spend between 1 to 3 pages. Keep in mind a business plan is a living, breathing document. It's going to evolve as time goes by, and it's always going to need to be updated. Now, this is just a quick summary. We'll do a deeper dive in a later chapter. Okay, next, financing your business. The following are 10 of the most reliable ways to fund your business. Take a look and consider your own resources, circumstances, and life to figure out which one works best for you. Are you going to fund the business yourself? Bootstrapping your business might take longer, but the good part is you're in control of your own destiny and own equity. Next, pitch the needs to friends and ideas. It's hard to separate business from personal relationships, but if you're considering asking for a loan, here's a resource you can use to make it as straightforward as possible. Always turn to family and friends, because even if they're not going to give you the money, they'll give you some good, usually critically, brutally honest feedback. Next, request a small business grant. Start by checking out the guide for business grants. You can go to grants.gov, which is a searchable online directory that has more than 1,000 federal grant programs. It might be a long process, but it doesn't cost you anything in equity, so give it a shot. You can always start a crowdfunding campaign online. Sometimes power is in numbers, and a bunch of small investors can actually add up to something significant. If you think your business might be a fit for something like Kickstarter or Indigo, then you should read up on 10 of the best crowdfunding businesses ever, or check out the most popular crowdfunding websites. You can also always check with local angel investor groups, online platforms such as Gust and AngelList, or local networks where you can find potential investors who relate to your industry and your passion. Now, for the big boys out there, you can always go to the venture capitalists. But just keep in mind, VCs are typically looking for opportunities from proven teams with $1 million or more. So make sure you have some traction before you go to the VCs. Now, you can always start an incubator or accelerator program. These companies are designed to help start new businesses or get you to the next level. Most provide free resources, including office facilities, consulting, along with networking opportunities to pitch events. Some of them may provide seed funding as well. You can also negotiate in advance from a strategic partner or customer. If somebody wants your product or service bad enough to pay for it, there's a chance they want it bad enough to fund it too. So variations on this theme include early licensing or white label agreements. You can always trade equity or services for startup help. For example, you could support a computer system for office tenants in exchange for free office space. You might not get paid for this, but you won't have to pay for your rent either, so penny saved is a penny earned. Seek a bank loan or line of credit. You should always ask before applying for a bank loan, including whether the loan you'll qualify for it. Now, if you do meet the requirements, a good place to start for loan opportunities is once again with the SBA. Next, develop your product or service and a website where you're going to utilize search engines. After all the work you put into starting your new business, it's going to feel awesome to actually see your idea come to fruition. But keep in mind, it takes a village to create a product. If you want to make an app and you're not an engineer, you're going to need to reach out to a technical person. Or if you need to mass produce an item, you're going to have to team up with a manufacturer. Here's a 9-step checklist, including finding a manufacturer and pricing strategies that you can use for your own product development. When you're actually crafting the product, you should focus on 2 things: simplicity and quality. Your best option isn't necessarily to make the cheapest product, even if it lowers manufacturing costs. Also, you need to make sure your product can grab someone's attention quickly. When you're ready to do product development and outsource some of the tasks, make sure you retain control of the product and learn constantly. If you leave development up to someone else or another firm without supervising, you may not get what you envisioned. Implement checks and balances to reduce your risk. If you only hire one freelance engineer, there's a chance that no one will be able to check the work. If you go to a freelance route, use multiple engineers so you don't have to just take someone at their word. Next, hire specialists, not generalists. Get people who are awesome at the exact thing you want, not jacks of all trade. Next, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you don't lose all your progress if one freelancer leaves or if the contract falls through. Manage product development to save money. Rates can vary for engineers depending on their specialties, so make sure you're not paying for an overqualified engineer when you can get the same result for a much lower price. Design and build your website. Once you've got your market and your product, you've nailed down your selling process. Now you're ready for your small business web design. Remember, keep it simple. You have fewer than 5 seconds to grab someone's attention, otherwise they're gone, never to be seen again. So here are some important tips to keep in mind. Choose just 1 or 2 plain fonts on a white background. Make your navigation clear and simple, and the same on every page. Only use graphics, audio, or video if they actually enhance your message. Include an opt-in offer so you can collect email addresses. Make it easy to buy, no more than 2 clicks between potential customer and checkout. Your website's your online storefront, so make it customer friendly. Next, use search engines to drive targeted buyers to your site. Pay-per-click advertising is the easiest way to get traffic to a brand new site. It has 2 advantages over waiting for traffic to come to you organically. First, PCP ads show up on search pages immediately, and second, PPC ads allow you to test different keywords, as well as headlines, prices, and selling approaches. Not only do you get immediate traffic, but you can also use PPC ads to discover the best, highest converting keywords. Then you can distribute the keywords throughout your site, of your copy or your code, which will help your rankings and your organic search results. Now make sure you write copy that sells. This proven sales copy formula that takes visitors through the selling process from the moment they arrive to the moment they make the purchase. First, you always arouse interest with a compelling headline. Then you describe the problem that your product solves. Establish your credibility as a solver of this problem. Add testimonials from people who've used your product. Talk about the product and how it benefits the user. Make an offer. Make a strong guarantee. Create urgency. And always ask for the sale. To help you have peace of mind, start learning as much as you can about the production so you can improve the process of your hiring decisions as time goes along. Now, the process will be very different for service-focused entrepreneurs, but no less important. There are several skills that people who are willing to pay for right now, but those skills might be hard to quantify. Now, how do you establish yourself and your abilities? You might consider creating a portfolio of your work. Create a website to show your artwork if you're an artist, or your writing if you're a writer. Design if you're a designer. You get the idea? Also, make sure you have the necessary certificates or educational requirements so that when someone inquires about your service, you're ready to jump at a good opportunity. Okay. Start building your team and establish yourself as an expert. To scale up your business, you're going to need a hands-off reputation. You're going to need to hand off responsibilities to other people. So you need a team. You need to learn how to delegate. Whether it's a good partner, employee, or freelancer, here's a couple of tips that might be able to help you find a good fit. First, state your goals clearly. Make sure everyone understands the vision and their role within the mission at the very start. Then, follow hiring protocols. When starting the hiring process, you need to take a lot of things into consideration, from screening people to asking the right questions and having them fill out the proper forms. Next, establish a strong company culture. What makes a great company culture? Well, here are some of the building blocks. Keep in mind, you don't need to have Google's crazy office space to instill a positive atmosphere. It's because a great culture is more about respecting and empowering employees through multiple channels, including training, mentorship. That's more important than decor or ping pong tables. In fact, sometimes those weird office perks turn out to be more like traps than real benefits. Next, establish an expert reputation for yourself. People use the internet to find information. Provide that information for free to other sites, and you'll see more traffic and better search engine rankings. The secret to always including a link to your site with each tidbit of information. Give away free expert content. Create articles, videos, or other content that people find useful. Distribute that content through the online directories and social media sites. Include send to a friend links on valuable content for your website. Become an active expert in industry forums and social networking sites where your market hangs out. You'll reach new readers, but even better, every site that posts your content will link back to your website. Search engines love links from relevant sites, and they'll reward you in the rankings. Next, if necessary, find your location. This could mean an office or a store. Now, of course, many internet businesses, you may not need a location initially, but if you do, depending on the need, here's a couple of things to think about. Style of operation. Make sure your location is consistent with a particular style or image. Demographics. Start by considering who your customers are. How important is proximity to that location? And for example, if you're a retail store that relies on the local community, it's very important to be in the right location. If you're an internet provider, maybe it's not so important. Foot traffic. If you need people to come into your store, make sure it's easy to find. Remember, even the best retail stores, retail areas, shopping centers have dead spots. Accessibility and parking. Is your building accessible? Don't give customers a reason to go elsewhere just because they don't know where to park. Competition. Sometimes having competition nearby is a good thing. Like a lot of doctors do that. They refer patients back and forth to one another. But other times it's not. You've done the market research, so you know which is best for your business, but just make sure you figure that out first. Proximity to other businesses and services. This is more than just about foot traffic. Look for how nearby businesses can enrich the quality of a business as a workplace as well. Image and history of the site. What does this address state about your business? Have other businesses failed there? Does the location reflect the image that you want to project? Are you a Rodeo Drive business? Ordinances. Depending on your business, they could help or hinder you. For example, if you're starting a daycare center, ordinances that state no one can build a liquor store nearby might actually add a level of safety and comfort for clients. Just make sure you're not the one trying to build a liquor store. Building infrastructure. Especially if you're looking at an older building or you're starting a new online business, make sure the space can support your high-tech needs. If you're getting serious about a building, you may want to hire an engineer to check out the state of the place and to give you an objective evaluation, make sure it has everything that you need. You don't want to move into a place with ancient wiring and you blow the place up. Next, rent and utilities and other costs. While rent is the biggest facilities expense, there are always other expenses like utilities, and figure out whether they're included or not. You don't want to start out thinking you're paying one price and find out you're going to be paying a lot more later on. So now you know what to look for. It's time to start searching for that place that fits all your qualifications. And here's a couple of tips. Think about your time frame. Landlords are starting to offer shorter term rentals, so don't get stuck in a long-term lease if it doesn't make sense for your business. Play the whole field. There are all sorts of places to use: co-working spaces, office business centers, sublets, and more. Keep your options open. Click around town. You might be able to find the perfect place by using online resources. Do the deal on your own terms. Again, you have options. Don't get roped into something that makes you uncomfortable. Next, start getting some sales. Use email marketing to turn visitors into buyers. No matter what your product or industry, your business's future is going to depend on revenue and sales. Steve Jobs knew this all too well. He constantly was making calls to customers from his garage. Then listen. Listen to what your customers are saying. Find out what they want and what they need, and figure out how to make it happen. Don't be afraid to ask for a commitment, but don't be pushy about it either. You can't be too shy to ask for the next step or to close a sale, but you also can't make customers feel as though you're forcing them into a sale. Don't be afraid to hear the word no. Most people are too polite. They let you make your pitch even though they have no interest in buying. Now that's a problem of its own, but time is your most important resource, so obviously don't waste it. Make it a priority. Creating revenue and running a profitable business is a good strategy. Focus on that. When you build an opt-in list, you're creating one of the most valuable assets for your online business. Your customers and subscribers have given you permission to send them email, which means that you're giving them something they've asked for. Hopefully you're developing a lifelong relationship with them. The response is 100% measurable. Email marketing is cheaper and more effective than print, TV, or radio because it's highly targeted. And anyone who visits your site and opts into your list is a very hot lead. And there's no better tool than email for following up on those leads. So, what do you do to actually make the sales? Well, start by identifying targets who want your product or service. Find early adopters of your business, grow your customer base, put out ads, and find out who fit into your business. Then figure out the right sales funnel or strategy that can convert these leads into revenue. Grow your business. Include back-end sales and upselling. There are millions of different ways to grow and expand your offerings, but no growth plan will matter if you don't have two key attributes that all growing companies have in common. First, they have a plan to market themselves. They use social media effectively through organic influencer paid campaigns. They have an email list, and they know how to use it. They understand exactly who they need to target, either online or off, with their marketing campaigns. Then, once you have a new customer, they understand how to retain them. You've probably heard many people state the easiest customer to sell is one that you already have. Your existing customers have already signed up for your email list, added their credit card information to your website, and tested what you have to offer. In doing so, they've started a relationship with you and your brand. Help them feel as good about the relationship as possible. One of the most important internet marketing strategies is to develop every customer's lifetime value. At least 36% of the people who have purchased from you once will buy from you again if you follow up with them. Closing that first sale is by far the most difficult part, not to mention the most expensive. So, use back-end selling and upselling to get them to buy from you again. Offer products that complement their original purchase. Send out electronic loyalty coupons that they can redeem on their next visit, and offer related products on the thank you page after they purchase. Reward your customers for their loyalty, and they'll become even more loyal. The internet changes so fast that 1 year online equals about 5 years in the real world. But the principles on how to start a business and grow a successful online business haven't really changed. If you're starting a small business online, stick to this sequence. If you've been online for a while, do a quick review and see if there's steps that you've been neglecting, or maybe you never got around to doing in the first place. You can't go wrong with the basics. Start by utilizing the strategies which include investing in your customer service and getting personal. But realize your work will never be done. You'll constantly be competing for customers in the marketplace, and you can never or simply rest on your laurels. Keep reaching the market, hiring good people, making a superior product, and you'll be on your way to building the empire that you always dreamed of. This is Joe Pastore of Platinum Method Coaching, and we'll talk to you again soon.